I'm Cedric Osborne, the second son of Michael M.S. Osborne, the founder of the Vue Pointe Hotel. This is my wife, Carol, and my son Michael, my first son. Joined, we built the hotel in 1961. This was my father's idea in 1961. And this came because of the real estate development of Americans coming down here to build homes for retirement and for the winter season. And they were looking for, after this, because of the Cuban crisis in '59, when the Americans didn't feel comfortable to go on holiday in Cuba anymore. So they started looking for warm places south of the USA. And this was the real estate developer came down looking for a suitable place to create a real estate development. They actually chartered a plane and started looking for a place as far down as Grenada or Trinidad, coming all the way up, stopping in all the islands. Then they got to Antigua, and the real estate developer said, he has had enough, he's not going to Montserrat. But the other one, Mr. John Willem, said, Schlossberg, you have to go to Montserrat. So he thought about it, and they came over the next day to Montserrat. And when Schlossberg landed at Blackburn, he said, well, John, this is what we've been looking for. Well, you took me all the way down the islands, and this is what we've been looking for. And from then right after that, he said, this is it. Who do we talk about buying land and developing real estate? So they said, we have to meet with somebody. So anyway, my father was then president of the Chamber of Commerce. So they introduced him to my father, Michael Simmons Offices. And everybody used to call him Mas Gen. And he's the one who said, well, Mr. Hollander is the biggest landholder in the area. So if you want land, you have to go and talk to Paul Hollander. And they went up to Mr. Hollander and they looked around all the land and they looked at the site, which the old town estate rests on right now. The Vue Pointe Hotel, which is at the end of it. And they said, yeah, okay, we're going to get started here. And they bought, I think, 150 acres, which is the Old Town Estate. And they went from there. So then the real estate developers came on, and they were talking to Daddy, and he said, well, if you are going to build all these houses and bring all these people down, right, you're going to need a hotel. And the real estate developer said, okay, I'll tell you what you do, Master. You build the hotel, and we'll develop the land and the houses. And that's how Daddy got involved in this hotel business. But we had no idea of what kind of hotel to build or where to build it. So they brought down an architect from the States, and he looked and picked the site and said, this is the best site for the hotel. And they went back and sent down a drawing, and the drawing is what you see right now. They designed the entire layout for this hotel, the main building and the 24 cottages.
But before that, you had a small hotel, no?
Well, we actually were in the hotel business when we bought the Coconut Hill Hotel. That's where Daddy started. The Coconut Hill Hotel happened to be just across the road from where we live, up in Town Hill. Right, so it was very easy for us to manage that little hotel. But the hotel that we had then very small, it was like a guest house. It had 9 rooms, but only 1 bathroom. And Daddy said, this can't work. So he brought an architect and a contractor from Antigua to add bathrooms, each of the bedrooms at the Coconut Hill Hotel. I mean, it ended up in 9 rooms, and each room having their own bathroom. So because it was right across the road from there, my mother took charge of running the Coconut Hill Hotel for a long time. Coconut Hill Hotel, which is a building very close to where we live. So my father, it was owned by 2 English ladies, Mrs. Drinkwater and Mr. Martin from England. And at one time they decided they're going back home, and Daddy made an offer to buy the Coconut Hill. But it didn't materialize that quickly. And then it came up around in 1953, for the coronation of the Queen, that he was a nominated member of council, and they asked him to go to England to represent Montserrat at the coronation of the Queen. And while he was in England, for the coronation, he met these 2 ladies again and finalized the deal to buy the Coconut Hill. So when he came back, this is when we started the renovation to the Coconut Hill, having bought it from the 2 ladies, and the deal was finalized when he went to England to represent the Queen with Montserrat at the coronation of the Queen. And then we built the Vue Pointe Hotel in 1961. I think we opened in November of 1961 with the 24 cottages, right. But then we kept adding. And then later on we added the 12 rooms. And later on we added the conference center, which is behind there, the office conference center, which is for conferences and theater and everything. It was very, very successful. The conference center could seat about 200 people. And we had theaters, plays, everything, concerts, whole choral concerts. And after the volcano, the conference center was the courthouse, was the governor's office, was everything. Well, everybody had to move from Plymouth. The conference center became the courthouse, chief minister's office, and everything. So this is how we ended up there. Mrs. Carol, we'd like to add to that because
I was not born in a family of hospitality, although I was raised to be hospitable. When I married Cedric, I actually married a hotel as well. I've worked in the hotel for almost 50 years. It'll be 50 years. We're married in April of next year. And I've enjoyed it very much. We have had ups and downs, mainly because of natural disasters. But we enjoyed a really incredible clientele. Most of our guests, year after year, were repeat guests. In the 80s and 90s, between 70 and 75% of our guests booked when they were leaving for the following year. We tried to make sure that their stay was obviously as comfortable as possible. Our housekeeping department used to keep some of the clothing from the guests and make sure they were washed and ironed and hung in their cottage the following year. It was really like a family. We had Cedric decided that in 1986 we needed to expand our summer business. Our winter business was very good, but we had very, very big lapses in the summer. So in 86 he designed the conference center, and we had in the summer of it was badly damaged in 89 in Hurricane Hugo, as was the entire hotel. We lost the roof completely off of 7 cottages, and all the others were badly damaged. We lost the roof above us. and the conference center roof was badly damaged. So it took us quite a while to recover. Prior to that, we had 65 staff, and they were incredible, loyal, industrious, really wonderful staff. And when the hurricane hit, and right afterwards, we asked them to come back. Somebody said to us, "Where do you start?" And I said, "Well, we started at the front door." And the staff would work half a day. They would come in the morning. All the freezers were closed because, of course, there was no electricity. Every day we would take out food, cook it, give the staff a big lunch, and then the bus would take them to Runaway Gut to collect water for them to take home for their families, because there was no water in most of the island as well. And that took us quite a long time to get back. We eventually got back up to 14 cottages. And in the summer of 1994, we had 14 regional conferences. And we were very excited about that because it gave us the income to be able to continue to refurbish the cottages that had been damaged so badly. And then the following summer, the volcano started. And during that period, we tried very hard in the first couple of years to clean, to make it as comfortable as possible for guests and staff. We had a lot of trouble with the ash. We never had any mud flows or lava flows at the viewpoint, but we had ash fall from the sky, and it was very difficult. We lost all our computers, the TVs. We lost the locks on the rooms. The ash would go in them, and then when you tried to use them, they wouldn't work. So we really had a big job to try to refurbish. And then in 97, we were closed again. We were closed for the first time. And over the next few years, we reopened and closed again. We were closed 3 times because of volcanic activity. And in 2016, the government under the chief minister at the time, Donald Romeo, their government decided to do some tourism promotion funding. And we were allocated some funding, and we were able to refurbish 3 cottages completely. And it was really it was a boon to us. And we repaired as much of the main building as we needed to. And we've been quite successful now in attracting wedding receptions, small conferences. The restaurant and bar had been open. It really was trying to get back to normal. But the costs were insurmountable. It really was. So we're now kind of biding our time. We're hoping that we will be able to continue in the future. I think Michael did hospitality management at university, business school, and he came home from school in 95, having just graduated, and got a job at the Four Seasons Hotel in Nevis, and the volcano erupted. And he then came to work for us. And he stayed with us for a couple of years. And the stories he has to tell about the helicopter pilots and the French toast for the governor, and
Yes.
it was a good time.
Yes, the volcano was definitely an experience. Nothing that a university could teach you. It went from 5-star hotel service to cleaning ash every day, to a point where the residents in Old Town area used to call me and tell me, don't clean the pool because every time you clean the pool, the volcano erupts. So we battled with the pool. It was almost like a running joke. But without the pool, the helicopter pilots didn't have anywhere to take a shower. So we always kept it clean because they would come back from their daily runs and have a few rum and cokes and jump straight into the pool with their uniforms. So we have seen quite an experience here with, from, as Daddy mentioned, we had the observatory here, we had the courthouse, we had church, you name it. At some point, ZGB announcements used to just say the name of the meeting, and at the end of the announcements it would just say at the Vue Pointe Hotel, because basically everything was being held here during the volcanic crisis when everything had to be moved from town. So. And then obviously the volcano got worse and it was no longer safe for us to operate. And from there it has been a challenge trying to upkeep the property. So, day to day we try and figure out new ideas of how we can recuperate it and as it is, because Montserratians see it as a center of the society. I mean, everybody talks about back in the day when they're at Vue Pointe, and I'm sure pretty much everyone at some point has been here or has experienced an event here or has memories. I mean, I get stopped on the street all the time asking, when we're going to open Vue Pointe, because they love to come down for Wednesday night barbecue, or my cousin got married there and it was the best time they ever had. So there's a lot of emotions and sentiments and memories tied to the hotel. So it is difficult for us, obviously, but so we try to keep it going as good as we can, and hopefully one of these days we'll get it back to what it used to be. Back in the day when we were fully operational, one of the key attractions was the Belmont Valley Golf Course. It was a 14-hole golf course, kind of unique. Mainly people played 9 holes, but if you played it a different way, you could play another 9 holes and make it an 18-hole golf course. So it was kind of unique, and they had a lot of regional tournaments and people always loved coming here. It was not part of the hotel, but it was definitely one of the things that our guests loved to partake in. We've always said that, golf is a key to the redevelopment of Montserrat. Mr. Dwayne Hickson has now started a small 9-hole golf course in the new land that has been created by the volcano. So that's a very unique feature, and great feature moving forward. So we look for more and better things like that to come.
There were two other things that really helped Montserrat's tourism. One of them was AUC, the American University of the Caribbean. And it might not be looked upon as tourism, but it really enhanced our economy greatly. We had hundreds of students here at one point in time, and it was the real trickle-down effect, whereby students would come, their parents would come to see them graduate, and the Montserratians benefited greatly by building houses and building apartments in those houses. And practically all of them, those apartments were occupied by students. And that helped pay the mortgage. So the real trickle-down effect of tourism is so very obvious in things that you don't call a tourist. The other thing that was really a boon to us was Air Studios. And we became very, very good friends with Sir George and Lady Judy. And they like the original developers, they came to Montserrat and Sir George said, this is it. This is where I want to build my studio. And it was world famous. And we found that we met artists that would come and have a drink. They would come to the house for cocktail party. They would interact all over Montserrat, and nobody paid any attention to them. And that's why they liked it so much. Stevie Wonder used to go downtown and play the booty. He was just one of the group, right? Sting and his wife were here. They liked it so much they used to come back in the summertime with the children and horseback ride. No, Linda McCartney used to horseback ride on the beach down here. I mean, it was just a very relaxed. Cedric, the morning they were leaving, Earth, Wind, and Fire had Cedric because they were staying here at the hotel. And they had the White brothers, they had breakfast with Cedric.
Yeah.
And they told him the thing they liked about Montserrat, two things the most. The lack of security, that they didn't have to have any guards or security, and the fact that they felt equal to everybody around. They just felt it was very special.
Yes, and I actually had seen Earth, Wind, and Fire a few years later at a hotel in Curacao, and I went up to them and spoke to them, and they were had very, very fond memories of Montserrat. And I told them where I was from, and actually they mentioned Daddy, and that they remembered Daddy and having breakfast with Daddy, and talked about their stories with Daddy, because Daddy at the time was doing some DJing at Radio Montserrat. So they remember his stories of when he used to be at Radio Montserrat. So it's actually, I think Montserrat is very dear to a lot of people in different ways. And to touch on the medical school, I think you'll also know that there's quite a few past medical students who have actually come back and built and bought homes here, and are part of the, part of the community now, 20, 30 years later. So, I think Montserrat on a whole is just, once you come here, and once you're part of Montserrat and the society, it touches everybody in a different way, but people always have great memories.
Another thing that was, we mentioned Daddy being DJ. He had a show called
Same on Saturday night.
Same old Saturday night. But Cedric was mostly involved outside of the hotel with the festival committee.
As chairman of the festival committee for 15 years. Yeah.
It was really
Good.
Yeah. And chairman of Radio Montserrat. Yeah.
all involved in tourism.
Yeah.
Okay. Our time is. We are supposed to be retired, Cedric and myself. It doesn't seem to have happened yet, but we're working on it. I'm still very involved in the hotel, even when we have some business. I have a very efficient duty manager who does everything from lawn mowing to bartending. So, but I also have. I was always involved in the tourist board when we had one years ago. I think the first hotel association that was started in Montserrat, Cedric started, was early in the 70s, I think.
What's that?
Hotel association.
Oh, yeah.
Montserrat Hotel Association. But it was, there were so few hotels, it was not a very viable exercise. But I'm very involved in the Montserrat National Trust now. We've been life members of the trust, and we have a project that we're, because of all the loss of activity and areas to play in Plymouth, we decided that it would be really wonderful to have an eco-play park at the National Trust site. And this is for children to begin to appreciate the flora and fauna of Montserrat, but also to begin to appreciate the heritage and what the National Trust is trying to do to remind Montserratians and visitors of our culture and our heritage and how important it has been in our past. You talk about the Windrush generation. Well, we had our own Windrush generation from Montserrat. The Windrush generation evidently came from a ship from Jamaica. But we had a great loss in the 50s of Montserratians that went to England, came back. Some of them have come back and retired, and it has been a great help. But they're the type of people we want to highlight what they did from slavery all the way up to the present day. So we need to start with the youngsters, because they're our future.
So as chairman of the board of Osborne Hotels, myself and the board have been exploring numerous opportunities and options for the Vue Pointe, from unfortunately the possibility of selling to all the way to the point of redeveloping it. We have not made very much progress, unfortunately, as tourism redevelops itself in Montserrat. Maybe one of these days we'll have better access via plane and via boat, and we see a resurgence of tourism in Montserrat, then it might give us more reason to rebuild and reopen. But unfortunately for right now, we're just going to continue to operate as a restaurant and a small bed and breakfast operation.
Of course, the pandemic has greatly decreased visitors, as we all know. And that's part of the reason that the economy has slowed so greatly. And therefore, all around Montserrat, not just in the hotel business. So, but we look for the future's better. As soon as we all get vaccinated and we are back to good health, we will be up and running.